Welcome to Jazz Time. JazzTime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch and would like to purchase it at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at JazzTime.com. Today, I'll be reviewing the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona Vintage reference 6263 with a white dial and from 1970 to 1987. That's quite some time, 16, 17 years. I will tell you a little bit about the history of this watch and then tell you about where it stands in the lineup of other similar Daytona vintage watches. Then I'll go through the case, bezel, dial, bracelet, movement, finally try it on and give you my thoughts. So let's start with just a little bit of history. Now, that Rolex Daytona is arguably, probably, at least in my opinion, the most coveted sports watch of the Rolex collection, which means it's one of the most coveted sports watches in the world, if not the most coveted sports watch in the world. Yes, that's right. The Daytona Rolex makes a lot of variations. They do their best variation in it in platinum. No other sports watch is made in platinum, and they have the longest wait list, and it does the greatest amount over retail. The Rolex Daytona does. And so it makes sense to look, it would make sense that the vintage Daytonas would be also very, very valuable. And since there's only a limited number of them, that is definitely the case. Okay, so just a little history. The Daytona was created in the early 60s, around 1963 or so. And at the time, they didn't call it the Daytona, they just called it a Cosmograph. Later on, they decided to name it after the Daytona instead of the Le Mans, because the Daytona was an American race, and America was and still is Rolex's biggest market. So they figured, okay, let's call it after the American race, and a good idea because it's since gone on to be their best or their most coveted seller. I don't know if it's their best seller, but it's definitely their most coveted seller. Okay, now with that said, from 1963 until 1970, they had several variations. They didn't start writing the name Daytona on it because it was still called Cosmograph, and it was calculating elapsed time. It's just a chronograph. But they did several variations, some with metal bracelet, like the original 6239, and then they had the other with an acrylic bezel, which was like the 6241. And they did a few other variations from there. I'm not going to get into all those because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this one, which is actually, in my opinion, also the best variation of the vintage Daytona. And in my opinion, which I'll give you at the very end, you really only need one or maybe two, but one should be enough of vintage Daytona. And if you're going to choose one, well, definitely, in my opinion, the 6263 is the one to choose. And I'll get into that why in just a bit. So they made this model, the 6263, from early 70s, 1970, 71, something like that, until 1987 approximately. So it's 16, 17 years, which actually makes it the longest production run of any Daytona. So, and you know what, rightfully so, because it actually also, in my opinion, looks the best. Okay, so that's just a little bit of background and where it stands in the lineup. Now, at the same time, they were making this 6263 with this acrylic bezel, which is this basically a black bezel. They actually also made one on a metal bezel, which was called the 6265. And I have to say, yeah, that one's not bad, but I like it much better on this acrylic crystal. And I think this one, and I think the numbers also support that, because the 6263 sells for more than the 6265. And probably because it looks better, and also, in my opinion, probably yours as well. Okay, so with that said, we're looking at the best of the vintage Daytonas, and of the reference number 6263, which is what you're looking at here, it's going to have either white dial or a black dial. So the one you're looking at here is white. Maybe they call it silver. I'm not really sure. But at any rate, I'm just going to, for simplicity's sake, and I'm going to call one white. I'm going to call one black. So this is the one you're looking at. White with black subdials. So like kind of a panda dial. And I guess you could call the black on white a reverse panda. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead and start talking about the watch itself. And so where should we start? Well, let's start with the case. The case here is going to be 37 millimeters. Now that's 3 millimeters less or 10% smaller than the current Daytona. After 1987, they changed the reference number to 116520 and they became automatic. And also the case size changed. That really turned into the modern Daytona. So the 6263, what you're looking at here, is the last version of the vintage looking Daytonas. All the rest after this are sort of modern, if you will, or at least more modern. This one, it's back when the Daytona size was 37. And back then, don't forget, in early 70s, 37 millimeters was quite large. It wasn't huge, but it was large. For just by example, the Royal Oak had come out in 1972, and that was 39 millimeters, and they call that a jumbo. So you can imagine 37 wasn't small. It was a good size back then. Now it's small, but back then it was not small. Okay, and actually it's not small now either. People are wearing smaller watches. It has done sort of a comeback, if you will. And okay, so 37 millimeters. Now that's the diameter of this watch. And what else I can notify you to is look at the lugs on this thing. The lugs are not rounded like they are on current Daytonas. They're much more angular, and that's a departure, from what it is now. And if you also look, it's a brushed finish on the top of the lug, and then you have a high polish on the side with holes on the case, which you don't really see very often on. Actually, you don't. It's not even very often. You don't see them on modern Daytonas, and you notice that the lugs, they're much skinnier than they would be on the current Daytonas. They're much skinnier lugs. That's right. Well, that's because that's just how they did it back then, and there's no. It's much more angular and much skinnier, and that's probably because it's 37 millimeters, so you can't have huge lugs on a 37 millimeter watch. It just doesn't really fit. Okay, so yeah, that's the case, and it's not terribly thick. It's around actually a little bit thicker than the current Daytona, but that's because the technology was different back then. It's 13 millimeters versus 12 millimeters, but it's still not thick by any stretch of the imagination. It's still a nice size, and like I said, a lot of these are coming back. So people are really starting to wear these 37 millimeter size watches, or at least smaller watches than they are currently. Okay. All right. So that's the case. Now let's look at the bezel. Here's the cool part of this bezel. This is an acrylic. Acrylic just means plastic. It's an acrylic crystal, a bezel. And they started doing, after this, they did aluminum bezels on the ref from 1987 they did metal bezels. Sorry about that. So they got rid of these acrylic crystals, some bezels. But in my opinion, without this bezel being black, it does not provide any contrast and symmetry, or it doesn't tie in the dial to the bezel, because you have black in the subdial, so you should have black on the bezel to make that accent really become more mature. And without it having a metal bezel, to me, the black on the subdial just comes out of nowhere. You kind of wonder, how is that match? To me, it doesn't. So I really like the way that they did it, 1970, with this combination, having a black acrylic bezel. And they do it really, it also looks really nice if you have a black dial and these white subdials. That's also pretty cool. Okay, but at any rate, the bezel, what I can point out to you is that it's acrylic, and it also is thinner. It's actually kind of the same thinness like a Omega Speedmaster. And I just kind of wonder, did the Omega Speedmaster copy the Daytona? Because their watch looks really similar to this Daytona, and they really went with it with a thin bezel. So I wonder if they've copied it, but who knows? Okay, but at any rate, this 6263 comes with a acrylic black bezel. At the same time, they were also making a 6265, which had a metal bezel. And yeah, this one looks better. Okay, let's look at the dial here. Now, let's unpack the dial a bit. The dial is quite important. I'm going to say there's a lot of variations, and I'm not going to get into all of them because you know what? It doesn't really matter. When you have, most people here are not going to be vintage nerds. They're going to be, they want to have a vintage watch. Maybe you don't have one. Maybe you want one. Maybe you have some modern ones, and you're like, you know what? I want to add something else to the collection. But you're not only trying to get vintage watches. You're not, nerding out over every little thing. That I would say that's the bulk of the vintage buyers here, at least at Jazz Time. Okay, so what would you be looking for? You'd be looking for, of course, a clean dial with no oxidation and no tool marks and stuff like that. And this one definitely has it. It comes in white or black, as I said, and the hour markers are all going to be index, and the hands, you want to make sure those are clean, free of oxidation, dust, like marks and stuff, because I've seen ones that just look beat up. This one's really clean. That's one thing to look for. And I like the subdials. The subdials here, they're very simple. Just minutes on the right, hours on the bottom, a 12-hour counter actually, and running 60-second counter on the left. Really simple. And the words Daytona at the bottom. This one happens to be, and it's almost always, not always, it always is in red if the watch is steel. In gold, they make it, I think, some other colors. I think white and gold or something, or black, I'm not sure. But anyways, and then it says Rolex Oyster. Oyster means that now the depth rating is 50 meters. Before it was even less. So that's another reason why you might want to go with this reference, because the word oyster means that it's going to have a good depth rating. And Cosmograph just means that it's a chronograph, and Rolex, obviously Rolex. Okay, so that's it. That's it for the dial. And at the bottom you see T Swiss T. They actually used to use tritium, which is radioactive, on these luminescent markers so that the watch would glow at night. But as you might imagine, having a radioactive material next to your wrist is not the healthiest thing. So they got rid of that. T-Swiss T means like there's, I don't know, a certain amount of tritium in these dials. Not enough to kill you or anything, but, yeah. Probably don't put it down next to your balls, I would think. All right, anyways. Okay, so let's look at also, this is also the first time, by the way, that they switched from pump pushers to screw down pushers. Now the pump pushers, you don't need to screw it open. You can just simply press it. That was on the older model, 6239, I think it was, 6241 or something. But this is a 6263, and you unscrew the pushers and then press it. And that's because when you screw it down, it keeps it watertight, and you don't press these pushers in water or you flood the watch, which is what could happen on those pump pusher ones. So to avoid that, you have this screw down, and they've kept this on even today, even in 2026. So what is that? Almost 60 years later, they still do that. This screw down method is quite nice. All right. And I was always saying earlier, this is a vintage watch, but it actually looks just like the current model in that it has this acrylic bezel, this black bezel. Now it has a ceramic bezel, but still, the idea is the same. That's why I think the 6263 with the black bezel does better than the 6265, because the 6265 was a dead end. They didn't continue to produce the steel ones that look like that anymore. They use this black bezel, and the reason is because it provides a nice contrast. And yeah, it looks quite nice. Okay, that's the pushers and the case, the bezel, dial. Now let's talk about the movement here. The movement here actually, interestingly, is going to be a manual wind movement. You would not believe that it's actually manual wind. Manual wind means you have to actually unscrew, which I'll do for you right here. You unscrew the crown, get this, and then you simply wind the watch. Yeah, that's right. You wind the watch. That seems kind of, not a lot of watches are doing that anymore, but this one does it. So it was not made by Rolex. It's a Valjoux caliber 727 movement, which Rolex then took and modified to make it their own. And they started doing that back at this time because they weren't making their own movements. And they continue to do that all the way up until 2000. So the reference 116520 or 16520, I'm sorry, 16520 was still using a outsourced movement, which was a zenith movement. And then they finally, did their own in-house movement in 2000. So, but anyways, this one is it's a manual wind movement, which means there is no rotor. It doesn't get powered by your wrist. You have to actually unscrew it and wind it, which is actually kind of nice. It's vintage, right? That's the whole point of having this vintage watch. So yeah. Okay, and as I said, it's 37 millimeters, quite small by today's standards, which is not a bad thing. Okay, let's look at the bracelet here. That's just going to be your standard Oyster bracelet. And back then, of course, since this is actually 19 millimeters across the lug width instead of 20 millimeters, it's actually kind of thin. And the buckle is going to have this Datejust buckle style. They didn't have the flip lock. They didn't start doing that until I think probably 1987 or something like that, when they invented this flip lock. Or maybe they did it on their other ones. I'm not sure. But at any rate, this one doesn't have it. It has this, but that's how it was back then. They also have other versions that have this sort of riveted bracelet look, which is a really old school look too. But, doesn't really matter. A lot of people actually even swap these bracelets out for NATO straps and such. Okay, so that's the bracelet. Time to try this watch on my wrist and give you my thoughts. Now, I'm a real huge fan of Rolex, as probably you are as well. And of the Rolex collection, the Daytona is their their most coveted seller. It's the best collection in my opinion. And this watch being a vintage piece, the coolest vintage one, because there's other vintage Daytonas, but it's the best example of a cool vintage Daytona. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up, and I like this reference over any other one. And I'm just going to tell you, if I were you and I was thinking about buying this, there's no need to try to, get all the little variation or the most rarest of the variation, because nobody really cares. And when you put it on your wrist, the one thing that you're going to know is, okay, it's authentic, everything's original. Whether it's service or not, it doesn't really matter, because if it's serviced by Rolex, Rolex is putting their approval on it. And if it's good enough for Rolex, I'm pretty sure it's good enough for you. So as long as you have an original watch, it's in good condition, whether it's serviced or not, service parts by Rolex, of course, as long as it has that, then it's okay. And of course, the cheaper the better, right? So yeah, as long as it has those things and it's part of your collection, I think you'll be happy and you'll wear it. And look, if you want to buy at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy at jazztime.com.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.